Hey everyone, it's Synth Designer back again with another video. Today I'm going to be talking about something maybe a little bit controversial, but it really shouldn't be, and that's the idea of copying others and copying their presets. Now, I'm not saying to go out and copy a preset and then try and sell it as your own. What I'm saying is, how can we use other people's presets to learn how we can create our own? And that's the idea that I'm going to explain today. So I'm going to be actually copying myself, but the principles I'm going to show you are going to apply to any presets that you'll find. What I'm trying to show you here today is that we can learn a lot from others and create our own unique presets based on the presets of others. In music, people borrow ideas all the time. That doesn't mean that they're stealing, they're just being inspired. So we're going to use other presets to create something unique. So what we're going to do is I have two instances of Serum open, and you can use any synth. If you haven't seen my other videos, one video I actually talk about copying certain presets from one synth to another. In this case, we're going to just stay with the same synth, but I'm going to show you how to kind of be inspired by these different presets. So let's get into it here. Let's open up this instance of Serum. I'm going to just open up a preset here, and then we're going to essentially copy it and then kind of be inspired by it. Okay, so I have a pad sound from Synthwave Essentials Volume 3. It's called Backyard Neighbor. So let's take a listen and let's talk about what we find in this sound. Okay, so it's really kind of a synthwavy type of vibe to it, right? It's got two saw waves here, and it's got kind of a big sound, right? So if we're thinking about trying to create our own pads, what can we learn from this? Well, let's just break it all down step by step and then create something new from this. So the first things we see here is that we have two saw waves with four voices of unison. Then we have some noise in the oscillator section, in the noise oscillator. And we have a filter that's not cutting out too much of the highs, but it is cutting out some. Next, we have a envelope here that isn't fully sustained, but it does have quite a bit of sustain, and it has quite a long release to it as well. Then moving on to the effects, we have a little bit of distortion, some chorus, delay, reverb, a lot of the things that we find very typical in synthwave sounds. So if we want to create our own pad for synthwave, for example, but not fully copy this, let's just start with maybe something similar to a saw wave, but not exactly the stock saw wave sound. So we have this saw wave here. Let's just put it on both oscillators here. Turn on the filter, and let's turn up the voices of unison for both. Turn on the detune. So it's got its own character. It has that kind of tail to it, so we do want to keep that because that's not really copying anything, that's just the ADSR, right? We're going to do something similar. Maybe filter it differently slightly. Turn up the drive and the fat. Let's turn on a different noise sample here. Let's keep it analog. What does this one have? The J60 or J106 chorus. We'll do the J60 here. So fundamentally, we have certain things that are very similar here. We have different saw waves, and we have kind of a similar envelope to it. But as you notice, it does have its own character as well. Obviously, there's a lot more processing already in this one, but we don't have to pay attention to all the processing. But let's turn on some basic ones and see what we like about it. Let's turn down this chorus a bit. Maybe get some of these lows out. I do like the hyper as well. Now the distortion, when you have a pad, you're gonna have to be careful because it could get really distorted. Let's create some movement as well. And then this one will turn on a slightly slower one. Let's take a look at the wavetable here. Because the other one was a basic saw, it didn't have a difference to it in terms of how it moved. So this one should have some more movement. As you can see, it really changes. And so we can attach an LFO here and see how that... This one's obviously louder, so we can turn this up a little bit. And so it has its own character. Like we can turn up the cutoff a little bit more. Now, nobody would ever think that that's the exact same sound. There's similarities, of course, right? But let's just compare. Let's really listen in. Of course, there's similarities here, but as you can see, I created my own new unique preset from this other one. I'm obviously copying myself, but that's the point here. It doesn't need to be the exact same, and it could just have slight differences. Now, don't go copying exactly and then pretending it's your own and then selling it, but I was inspired here because I wanted kind of a pad sound that's a synthwave sound. And what did I create? I created something unique on its own. That's my own. Obviously, they're both my own here, but you know what I mean. If you find something and you really like it and you don't really want to use the exact same sound, or you're trying to create your own presets and sell them, think about how you can make it unique yourself. Let's take a look at maybe a few more aspects to it. Now the LFO here is pretty simple. It's only attached to the fine knob, whereas I attach it to the wavetable position. Maybe we do something with the warping, like a bend plus minus. So that creates a little bit more movement as well. This already has more movement than the other one. So you could really hear the differences here. This is a little bit more kind of mellowed out because we have a different low pass filter. That makes a big difference as well. Whereas this one is a lot more focused on the highs. Looking at the effects, I pretty much put in all the same effects here. I did add hyper, and I did EQ out some of those lows here. So there you have it. Think about that when you're trying to look at somebody else's presets, no matter what they've created. take a look at the fundamental aspects of it, like the wavetables, the filters, and the envelopes, and then move on to kind of the LFOs and the effects and see what you like about them, what you don't like about them. And without copying exactly, you could get some interesting similar sounds, but you could add your own twist to them and really kind of build your own sounds out of them. So I hope this has been helpful, and I'll see you next time.